This meeting is being recorded.
Yeah. So we have to be careful what we say now. But yeah, he's got a, I mean, I will talk about it when he comes on. Oh, there's Woody now. But we tried, he's doing a kind of set of, I think it's 8 in the set, and we can talk about it. But that's a really interesting sort of offering that you'll be putting forward hopefully in the not too distant future. Hi, Woody.
Hello. Sorry, technical difficulty, but yeah, got it all sorted. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes. You well? Yeah?
Yeah, not too bad. It's been busy.
Good. I was going to say, I bet you've been preparing all of the staff and, preparing the visitor centre, ready to have a little bit of a walk around the distillery and your setup there. Is that right? Or your bonded warehouse and things?
I'll try to use my phone, see if I could do this on my phone just in Zoom. If you just
we'll give people a little bit more time just for the stragglers to join. And I know that a few people may not have received their sets despite all of my efforts. Royal Mail has kiboshed a few people being able to get their sets in time. But we still should have quite a full room. Hi, David.
Evening.
You well?
So.
Well, hopefully it'll be a bit better than so by the time we're finished going through these 6 drams. So Woody's joined us from Woodrow's of Edinburgh already. It's either that or it's a really good background, a bit like Royston's got, although you can't see it actually now. He's joining us from the Caribbean currently, is my Uncle Roy. Yeah. Oh, there you go. There's Royston's. That's his background there. What a nightmare. And instead, you're joining us on this tasting. I mean, what can I say?
Just shows commitment. It does.
Commitment. Excellent. So we'll just give a couple more minutes, if that's all right, just to let their stragglers on.
Recording in progress.
So I've got 2 phones here. Right.
So there's Woody's bonded warehouse. We're kind of seeing the ceiling of it at the moment.
Yeah, I'm trying to flip the camera. Oh, there you go. Right, so I guess everyone will be interested in the setup that we've got. So this is sort of our warehouse. It's not the biggest, it's actually probably the smallest warehouse you can find. We're just doing some bottlings for other people. And we've got cars around the back. I couldn't get into it because you could see I've been blocked. But yeah, so that's pretty much all you could.
What casks have you got there, if you don't mind me asking? Is it possible to kind of get a hint as to what you've got maturing in your bonded warehouse?
I mean, I could try to climb into it. Just give me a second.
Oh, I don't want to cause havoc.
You're fine. Just give me a second. Sorry, I put my phone down.
Now upside down.
Right. I'm in. So, Caol Ila here, and it's Paolo Catardo, and that's a sort of a shot fire to James Eady, if you like. We've got some TNH, got some Glenbergie. No, that one is not mine. We've got some Brace of Glenlivet up there. That's 1994. And then we've got a Pulpney. And then, so got quite a lot of casks. Sorry about flicking the phones around. And I've got some Burnside, so I've got a Burnside port, sorry. And then we've got a Burnside foamy port, and they're sister casks. So they went into the two port casks on the same date. So they're pretty much ready to come out now. I've got some, what else have we got? We've also got a Williamson TX, so that's a sister cask of the Williamson olorosso. It's gone in the same day as well, so I've not tried it yet, so I don't know what it tastes like. It could be horrible.
I have a suspicion it won't be.
I don't know. Here's the thing. And then there's a inch fat and a Palo Cortado as well. So we just see what's going on. Right. So let me climb back out.
Yeah, sure. So maybe while you're climbing out, then I don't know if you'd like to share with us what cask you think, or you can't wait to try first, or most out of the ones you've got in your warehouse at the minute. I don't know if you caught that question.
Sorry, say that again.
I was wondering if you had a cask that you've got there that you just can't wait to bottle. I mean, one that you think is going to be, really outstanding.
So for next release, we're probably looking at so that is a Glen Ila. I know it's a Mac because it was Mac wrapped in the Glen Ila, 14-year-old, but and that should come out on the 7th. Let's see. Right, let me get back to my desk, and then I'll talk to you on my laptop.
Sure. So did you say that one's due out on the 7th of December, do you mean, or?
Yeah,
so 7th of December, so that'll complete our quarter 4 release.
Brilliant.
Right.
Nice.
So that's a Glen Ila, and it's due out on the 7th of December.
Yeah, so it'll be coming out on the 7th of December, or at least we'll try to get it out. Well, we'll start bottling on the 7th, so we'll be ready on the 9th. And that's all coincide with the National Whisky Festival in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
And yeah, in quarter 4 we're just going to release one bottle, and it's just because cost of living and all that. I mean, like, you don't want people to be breaking their bank to to do too many bottles, so
Yeah.
so it'll just be one bottle. It's 62.7%, and RRP probably just £99.
That's not bad for a Glen Ila of that age.
Yeah, it's a cost of living special bottling. So
Can we put in some NEWAS orders now?
we could do a wee special label for you if you like.
We'll have this discussion.
I mean, we print our own labels, so we could do quite a lot. Yeah,
I'm a bit of a fan of Glen Ila, but tonight we have a cracking range to go through tonight. So everybody, Woody, everybody, thank you very much for joining us tonight, or everybody. And we've got some great whiskies to go through, and really chuffed that you can make it. Like I say, we're missing a few people, and I'm hoping all of you have got your sets. Have you all got your sets?
Yeah.
Is it the numbered set as opposed to the symbol set?
So yes, it's the numbered. Yeah. Sorry, Dave. So the numbered set. I know that a few people didn't get their sets on time, or at least they didn't this morning. So whether or not the post turned up, but yeah, it's been a bit of a nightmare, really. Royal Mail strike and everything. But anyway, glad you guys have got your sets, and I'm also joined on the panel by the esteemed fellow of NEWAS, John, who will no doubt give his opinions on these whiskies as well. So anybody who's not necessarily, I think most of you have been on one of our tastings before. It's very informal. You can ask questions in the chat, or you can just stick your hand up and jump in if there's a quiet second. But Woody's joining us tonight from Edinburgh, where Woodrow's is based. And yeah, I guess we have 6 whiskies to go through. I took a guess, and I think, Woody, you agreed with the lineup.
Oh yeah, yeah, of course, yeah.
And the numbers. So I think we might be going with the Mannochmore first, which is in fact number 1 on your samples. Is that right? Woody, can I just make absolutely sure that the Mannochmore would be your suggested first one out of the 6?
Yeah, I mean, we just go with what you have. So
Oh, you see, now you're taking away whatever fame and fortune I might have had by actually selecting the right lineup for a change. So really, you just don't
no,
care.
it's definitely right. Whatever you pick is the right one. So
All right, thanks. So I don't know if you just want to start nosing and dive in. We don't stand on any ceremony.
I missed all of that. Is it number 1? Okay, right.
Yes, number 1 is the Mannochmore.
Ollie was rabbiting in my ear.
How dare you, Ollie?
Number 1.
yeah, and sorry about the whole disorientating video of the warehouse there. It's just
Oh no, we love it. I guarantee everybody loved that little walk around and the look at some of your casks. So I guess we're starting with the Mannochmore. I don't know, Woody, would you like to kind of give us a little bit of background of Woodrow's for those that don't necessarily or haven't heard of Woodrow's before?
So Woodrow started in July this year as an independent bottling brand. But we have been in business for since 2016, and we have been sort of trading casks for a while before we started this. And the reason why we started Woodrow's is because we come across a lot of nice casks, and we just don't want to sort of sell them on to other overseas or other independent bottlers, and a lot of them goes to sort of export market, and in turn that means that all the good whiskey leaves the UK, and that sort of just it's a bit kick in the bum for, well, in my opinion. So, and that's sort of what we started, putting some whiskey in a bottle, but we're not trying to sort of pump out lots, because that's not what we do in sort of our main business source of income, if you like. So we still cask trading, and that allows us to sort of a bit more financial freedom, if you like, to pick the really good whiskies to put out. And I mean, a lot of independent bottlers probably shy away from cask trading, or they don't like to talk about that part. But obviously, we buy casks blind, and then we sometimes we sell the casks on after we get a sample. So and you know, it's just by chance that we come across these casks. I mean, the ones that are just refill hogsheads, but obviously the ones that we've finished, that's when we took an active approach to change to add another dimension, if you like, to the cask, to the whiskey. I hope that answered your question.
So Woody, I know that the 6 that we've got today, is it 4 of them have had a finish on them? Is that right? I'm just trying to remember now.
So the 3 of them have finishes on them, and then the other 3, the Mannochmore, the Glen Spey, and the Caol Ila, has just been full term and Werther casks they came in with.
Right. So the Mannochmore that we're trying first, that's been was it a refill hogshead?
So yeah, so that's a refill hogshead, and it's a pretty active cask.
Is anybody getting that quite a Werther's original kind of minty kind of hint on their nose, or is it just me?
No, it's probably just you.
Getting some sort of sweets, Carl, but I don't think it's Werther's. I think something more Oh. No, I'm not sure exactly, but more sherbety or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's more like lemon bonbons because you know they got like the icing sugar on the outside of it. That's it's a lot of sugar on the nose, like quite sweet.
I got a hint. Got a strong minty kind of. Sorry.
I was going to say that I get all apples and a bit of lemon. So a bit like John said, like a lemon bomb or lemon sherbet, but apples mostly. Red apple, green apple.
It's got a nice nose to it. It really has. So, Woody, what's your preference in terms of finishing? Do you prefer to have quite a strong finish on whiskies? You know, do you have a is it sort of, are you a bit of a sherry bomb fan? You know, what's kind of your what really gets you going in the morning or maybe later on?
No, I'm not a sherry bomb fan. I mean, a lot of people probably disconnect after I say this, but if you really like sherry that much, just go buy a bottle of sherry because it's a lot cheaper.
Absolutely.
No, I prefer a sort of a well-balanced whiskey. So you know you get the sherry characters if you're finishing sherry cask, but you really need the distillery character. The spirit character still needs to come through. And yeah, but I mean, it's everyone's choice, whatever they want to drink, you know. But for me personally, I think the balance is very important. And sort of, you know, the wood spices, if you're finishing a cask, the sherry or whatever wines characters, and then you have got your spirit characters. That these three things will need to be quite well balanced for me, in my opinion. But my go-to dram will probably be a relatively active refill hogshead, about 12-year-old-ish, and that's sort of what gets me going, if you like.
Yeah, because your background, Woody, I don't know if anybody is aware of this, but your background is in distilling.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've been a distiller for a bit as well. So, but that was for gin. I wasn't lucky enough to be in the whiskey distilling world. But yeah, so I guess it's a bit of knowledge that's sort of gone into picking the casks. But obviously we, as I said, like I need to emphasize this, we came across these casks not by chance. So the credit goes to the distillery. We are just merely humble servant of putting whiskey in a bottle.
Well, I guess arguably the distillery, the only thing that they do that's absolutely unique, and obviously it's a big thing, but produce the initial new make. Everything else beyond that, independent bottlers, just as much as the distillery themselves, can influence what happens to that new make from that point on. You may be doing yourself and IBs down a little there, I think.
I mean, yes, but at the same time, if you've been trading casks, you're tasting different samples at different sort of year, and sometimes you recognize there's a change in wood policy, for example, and then you look it up, there's a change of distillery managers, or there's a change of you. So some people prefer using cheaper wood. Some people spend a bit more time and resources on looking for better wood. So and well, when I say tend to, you know, you have to have quite a decent sort of spirit, even if you go into finishing, if you like. So I mean, finishing is, unless you go for a very, very sherry bomb, then you sort of mask all the flavors that you don't want in the whiskey. Otherwise, you still get that if you don't have really good wood policies to sort of absorb all the nasty stuff that you don't want. Unless you go for really long finishing, then that's another story. But then the casks that we use, the majority of them are bodega casks, so they've been used for sherries for about 15 to 20 years. And that means that there's not a lot of wood influence in it. from the casks. Yeah, so
We have some more detail on this car in terms of what the age and the ABV is and things like that.
Would you like to give that
sorry, say that again.
details about the Mannochmore, like
so
the age
it's
and ABV and stuff?
So it's 13-year-old, and it's fully matured for 13 years in refill hogshead, and it's 55%.
Perfect.
Oh, actually, I should have said as well that I think, was Russell going to join us from Inverary? Was it Russell?
Mike.
Mike. All right. Sorry. Yes. So I think Inverary have set up a discount code as well for if you do end up wanting to buy any of the bottles tonight. Inverary have set up a NEWAS code as well. So but we'll share the details on the chat. Sorry. Yeah. Woody, carry on. Yeah.
Yeah. Aye, and yeah, so all the cast strength, natural color, non-chill filtered, all the usual usual stuff. And it's well, we don't like to. I'm not very good at marketing or sales, so.
Anybody got any comments on the Mannochmore then so far? What are you thinking?
Really nice car. Really like this. Very pleasant. Good start.
I peaked.
You peaked too early, Woody.
I have to say, on the nose, I could sit and nose that for hours. It is lovely, really sweet, pleasant, dessert kind of nose to it.
I like that we're not starting with something that's completely soused in sherry, because so much nowadays it's just buried in sherry.
We try to every quarter we release 3 bottles, except quarter 4 this year. But we try to mix it up with above refill hogshead and above finish like sort of finish in different casks. So just to sort of expand the sort of flavor profile, if you like, rather than just chuck everything in as sherry.
Woody, is the ABV on this 55%? Is that correct? Yeah. Anybody not getting on with this one? Anybody want to give us the an opposing view so far? Or am I going to pick on somebody? Henry, you look like you're itching to tell us what you're thinking of this.
I think
don't really have much of an opinion here or there, to be completely honest. To be fair, I've not drank anything for the past month or so, so I'm just literally easing my way back into drinking. Just enjoying whatever gets thrown at me at this point.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, you're getting thrown some nice whiskey there, I think, on the first one. And I have a suspicion that this isn't the peak either, but you know, this is damn good. Cheers, Henry. Who else shall I pick? Come on, George, Rachel, what are you thinking on this? If you don't mind.
Good breakfast whiskey. I think doesn't really need a finish. It's good as is. Scrumptious.
I don't know about you guys, but I've not had a massive exposure to Mannochmore. So I wouldn't necessarily know just how much this kind of illustrates the distillery profile. I don't know if anybody has had far more experience with Mannochmores, or I mean, does this kind of remind have you had much experience with Mannochmore?
Huge amounts, but I've had the flora and fauna, and that's quite similar because the flora and fauna is maturation as well. Yeah, I mean, it does show the distillery character quite well, I think.
I've had a couple of.
Be right in
old
saying
whiskey.
that Mannochmore is usually destined for blending.
Yes. Yeah, there's very few original bottlings of Mannochmore. In fact, I think that the Flora and Fauna might be the only one I can think of that's an actual original bottling of Mannochmore.
Yeah.
DS have done some good ones in the special releases over the years. They did a cracking 18-year-old maybe several years ago which had quite a bit of sherry influence in it. It's the same site as Glen Lossy. It's like 2 distilleries in one. It's delicious. It's delicious liquid.
That is very approachable. And actually, there it is a bit spiky. It's got a bit of an ABV kick, but it's certainly not. It's certainly not huge or you know, like unpleasant. It's quite pleasant. It adds to that sweetness in the overall dram, I think. Is anybody not liking it? Are we literally all going to agree here? I mean, this could be a first. Okay.
Oh, Caol, do the proprietors usually come on though? Because people might be a bit scared to say anything.
Oh, heck. Oh, honestly, Rachel, you have no idea. We've had.
We're not scared.
We've had practical arguments. We've had arguments with their proprietors and the distillery managers, and you name it. None of these guys are going to hold back if they're not going to like it. Oh yeah.
I agree, Rachel. Some of us get shy.
Well, we all know number 6 is going to be shy anyway because it's Laphroaig. So.
That is totally not true. It might be shite for you. Right. Well, shall we do the old thumbs up, thumbs sideways, thumbs down? What are we thinking? All right. Okay. I think that's everybody. What? Simon, I didn't see. Did you do a thumbs up there? We're old school here. We don't do anything else other than thumbs.
Carl, pay attention to young Ollie.
That's so funny, Dave.
I do appreciate that, Dave. Thank you.
He's got his milestone birthday on Monday.
Yeah.
50 already? Really? You're looking pretty good.
Quite.
Less appreciative. Yeah, no, it's not too bad. There's a bit of a woody bit to it on the palate for me early on. The palate's a little bit short. Both Beck and I thought that it drank higher than 55 ABV. I would have put it in 60s if I was guessing. But yeah, no, nothing against it. Just.
I did add quite a bit of water to mine, which actually brought out loads more floral notes, I thought.
Yeah, no, I thought the nose was nicer with water as well.
All right.
Of course, it might just be because we're out of practice with whiskey.
Yes, it has been.
Out of practice.
2 days.
2 days.
2 days. Yeah. Fair enough. Well, on the whole, a fairly unanimous thumbs up on that one. So quite a good start, I would say. Woody, that's not bad going.
I set the bar too high.
But a very nice dram. So shall we? So number 2 is that I had was the Glen Spey. Would you agree, Woody? Is that?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Let me.
Right. Well, sample number 2. Clearer palate, I think.
Just me drinking all my own stock.
Well done. I actually, when I visited, I thought if I'm coming in here Monday morning through to Friday and potentially beyond that, how do you manage to not actually, especially later on when you're getting close to the end of the working day, how do you not just dive into some of the stuff you've got there?
I don't drink my own stock. Unless the label is damaged or the drags. But yeah, my rule of thumb is that I don't drink my own stock.
So do you find yourself suddenly kind of scraping a thumb across a little bit of one of the labels later on one night?
No, then it will just go as tasting stock or charity balls. No, I mean I tend to just buy whiskeys from from other people and because it's quite a good general rule of thumb not to get higher on your own supply.
Yeah.
And unless it's cast sample, then it's fine.
So basically, you're far more disciplined than the rest of us.
Well, I kind of have to. I mean, it's a dangerous game with the amount of booze in here. But at the end of the day, I sometimes I drink Monday to Friday, so I don't drink at the weekend. So
we're all looking at you dumbfounded here.
So it's the other way around, but sometimes you just want a sort of a 40% supermarket whiskey. You just want something simple. You don't want to be sitting there for hours thinking what kind of flavor you can pick out. You just go with it's a nice dram and and that's it. And Lady of the Glen is pretty good as well. I've got quite a lot of their bottles.
Yeah. Well, they just recently won best independent bottler or something, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, we didn't win anything. Obviously, we were there, but
Next year, Woody.
I'm convinced that because we only bought 2 tickets to the dinner. If we have bought more tickets, we have got something. No, I'm joking.
Well, Slange, by the way, everybody. Thanks again for coming along and buying sets and stuff.
Slange about.
What this reminded me of as soon as I nosed it. Salted caramel ice cream. I'm not an ice cream lover, but this reminds me exactly of salted caramel ice cream.
Right, salted caramel.
It's a funny one. It kind of it's quite complex in the nose, and I think it kind of smells like an old blend. It's very dank smelling, which I like a bit wet cardboardy.
I get where you're coming from, actually, Rachel. I was struggling to kind of put into words what the hell I was smelling, but that kind of funky dankness is definitely, I don't know if you've just put it in my brain now. What are you thinking?
It's definitely not as fruity as the first one on the nose. It's more, what's got more of an earthy note. Wouldn't necessarily say wet cardboard, but along those sort of lines, yeah.
What was that, Stuart? What are you saying? Tannerville and red wine caster. Oh yeah. I hear you. Stuart, what are you thinking of this one then? Oh, he's walking away from. Oh, he's back. Stuart, what are you thinking of this one? Oh, Stuart, what are you thinking of this one? I'll get there in the end.
Take it, it's me, Stuart.
Yeah. There's no other Stuarts. Not tonight.
Maybe a slight preference for the first one, if I'm honest. Not bad, not bad. Not quite getting as much off the nose. A bit of pepper almost at the back end. Strange, mind you. I seem to be picking up pepper in quite a lot of drams these days, so it might be COVID. But solid. I'd drink it again. That tends to be my rule of thumb, to be honest. If I drink it again, it's good. If I wouldn't, then no. So yeah, nice enough.
Good. Okay.
I think this has got more of an ABV kick than the first one. I don't know what
So this one, I believe, is 59.2. Is that correct, Woody?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. But it's dangerously easy to drink, I think.
Will, what are you thinking?
What was the ABV on this one, Carl? Sorry, I missed that.
59.2.
Yeah, right.
And it's spent its entire life in a refill hogshead, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
American oak.
Yeah. And what was the age on it?
13.
13 as well. Okay. Yeah.
Go on, Will. Try again.
Go on, Will.
I think the nose is completely different to the. As soon as it hits your tongue, the taste is completely different to the nose. They don't match up, but I think.
Yeah.
I think that it's almost like, and I know this because I do this as a job, but well, not as much. But glazing putty, like linseed. That's what I'm getting on the palate. That's the fustiness. It's like a linseedy smell, but on the palate, if that makes sense. I can sort of taste the smell if you get that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's on a tasting note, so.
I added a bit of water to mine. I get like this real sort of, like a Jaegery herbaliness. That's sort of a herbal spice, savoury spices on the nose once water's added, which I didn't get in the beginning. But I think it comes to a bit on the palate as well.
Yeah, I've added a little bit of water as well, and it opens it out for me.
I don't tend to look to add water, but I have to say that I'm very tempted early on to try that with a little bit of water. I think I'm finding the ABV hit just kind of masking a lot of what I think the whiskey could offer. It just kind of, it's so spicy on my tongue.
I would agree with Carl there. Once I've added a bit of water to that becomes far better balance. It's good whiskey, just needs a little water.
Yeah.
I think it's got a really long finish compared to, like, say, the first one.
Yeah.
And I feel like I like the sort of the mouthfeel of it. I feel is as well better than the first one as well. I really like this one. It's sort of like a milk chocolate thing that runs through the palate as well.
Yeah, that's balanced it. I've just added about 4 drops of water into my glass, and that settled it a lot.
I put a good squirt in mine, and it can handle quite a bit of water, I think.
Right. You can't take the water back out though. What happens if you killed it? What do you think of this one, Woody? Obviously you selected 13 years as the sweet spot to kind of release this. Was it a genuine kind of, you think this has hit its sweet spot, or was it one of those situations where you thought, I daren't leave it in for much longer, or what was your thoughts behind this, if you can remember what your decision point was on it?
I think for this one it was just bang on. Instead, for the first one, the Mannochmore, I just wouldn't risk to have it in for more time. Just because the first one is, like, for me, was quite spicy, and it's sort of overtaken the spirit characters a little bit. As with this one, I just thought it's pretty much what I'll drink. So hence gone into the bottle. Yeah. So.
And do you find that from a selection, do you tend to taste, because obviously you're not dealing with huge numbers of casks from your own bottling perspective? Do you tend to try to monitor your casks quite closely? Do you sort of sample them every month, or do you tend to kind of leave them for a long period of time and then start to kind of keep a closer sort of micro manage the casks? Or, I mean, can you kind of give us a bit of an insight as to how you do all that?
Yeah, so for the casks, they're nowhere near ready. I probably just get a sample once a year. And for the ones that are sort of finishing in hogshead for the first 6 to 9 to 12 months, well, to 6 to 9 months, usually there's not a lot of development. And then it's after that period, like sort of it start to sort of accelerate, if you like. And that's where we have to sort of taste it every 2 months or so, just to get an idea of where it's going. It's quite hard to say because some casks are so if you're finishing using a sherry cask, for example, some of them are sort of more powerful, if you like, than others. So it's quite hard to say there's a timeline, but you could kind of see where it's going. So we have casks that are like, for the first 6 months, there's just not much going on. And then sort of after 6 months, after that time, so it just picks up quite quickly in terms of flavor, color, and sort of, you know, the aromas. But then we've got quarter casks and we've got blood tubs that hang about as well, and they need a bit more sort of closer monitoring because the rate of maturation is a lot higher than a hogshead. And then a butt, you don't really have to do much to it. Yeah. With a butt, it's like, yeah, like 10 years later, I still kind of taste the same. So it depends on the cask size, I suppose, and it depends on the cask itself. So I don't know if we're gonna try to like maybe the sherry ones after this one, and then so for the sherry ones, it's quite interesting. You know, you at some point you lose the spirit characters, but then it sort of comes back later on. So it's quite interesting, and we sort of bottled the next two, well, the Mortlach and the Dufftown, before it loses the spirit characters. Otherwise, we'll have to wait probably about 2 to 3 years just to get the spirit characters back. So it's quite an interesting sort of operation, and being able to see them quite closely, sort of, it's quite fascinating, if you like.
Yeah, because we'll come on to the blood tubs that you're doing and your tasting set around the blood tubs. I was just curious, we have another independent bottler sort of present. I hope you don't mind me asking. Rachel, George, I know you guys are you represent an independent bottler as well. Is that your kind of experience of how you kind of look at managing when you go to bottle and things? Is that kind of similar to what Woody's just talked through there?
We've re-racked a lot. We've re-racked a lot of casks, especially into lots of smaller casks. Yeah, sure. They definitely do need to. You need to keep an eye on them. I'm of a firm belief that you could just kind of throw all caution to the wind as long as you've got a nice spirit and some good wood. It's all fine. I re-rack random spirits, random casks, all different ages, into all different cask types. Rachel sometimes does not always agree with my carefree frame of mind. I just think good spirit, good wood, throw it in, leave it for a while, try it. We're bottling our first. Well, our first casks are bottled now, but they're unfortunately sitting in a warehouse without labels.
Yeah. Well, you guys, I know when I was talking to Rachel about it was a shame that they weren't quite ready, because I know you guys had been interested in coming along to the indie festival as well, which hopefully next year.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah, 100%.
But no, that's grand. Thank you. So should we do any other feedback on this one then? The Glen Spey. What's everybody thinking? John.
For me, I prefer the first one. I think the first one is closer to the
profile
distilled character, whereas the second one's a bit more dominated by the wood.
Yeah, but Glen Spey is kind of famously or infamously, it's one of those distilleries where you get so many that have been very highly finished.
But this isn't finished. This is
No, I know. So
American
it's
cask.
because I would struggle to fully understand what the profile of Glen Spey actually is, because
Well, not really, but I can taste a lot of wood in it.
Yeah,
there is a lot of oak in it. You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm guessing that that's not what comes out of the stills.
No. What's everybody else thinking? Silence. Oh, well, we've already got thumbs up. We haven't even got to that bit. Oh, well, he's got. All right, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways. What are we thinking? Oh, Ollie's even a thumbs up on this one. Dave, what were your?
Go sideways on this one. Sideways.
It was brilliant once it got a bit of water in it. It was just a bit too spirity.
I would agree, definitely, David. That's the same for me. So I would kind of, yeah. Dave, what was yours? Oh, okay, about the same. I might come back to you if you don't mind and get your opinion on that. Rob, what was your view on that? Sideways as well. I might have to come to you as well. I think I spotted everybody else. Was everybody else a thumbs up? Simon, what was yours? You're on mute.
I've got too much plutonium running through my bloodstream to have a decent sense of taste, so it's very hard to grade them.
Right.
I found the first one extremely overpowering.
All right.
It was better when I had some water in it, bearing in mind I do drink malt with water anyway. I preferred the second one. I found that a bit smoother.
Yeah, okay.
But I've no idea what my taste buds are doing, to be honest.
Yeah, no, fair enough, fair enough. In fact, the Geiger counter's already going off here, so, and we're about, what, 3-4 miles away from you, so yeah, I can well believe it.
2.5.
Okay, grand. Right, I'm gonna Rob or Dave first. Dave, why was the sideways on for you?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, sorry, I meant Dave Ogden, but go on, Dave, hasn't it? You jump in.
I wasn't sure. No.
Sorry. Go on, Dave-O.
I don't know very much about Glen Spey, but most of the Speyside whiskies I've had in my time normally have a kind of very delicate character to them. And I think for me, this doesn't really kind of bear that through. It's especially from, I think you said it was refill hogsheads. It's quite spicy, which I don't dislike, but for a Speyside whiskey, for me, that's not what Speyside is. It's quite alcohol burny, and for me to say that, that's something. I'm not saying I disliked it, but just not, it's not kind of, there's not enough there for me to put a full thumbs up. I'm not saying it's a bad whiskey, but yeah, there we go.
All right. Cheers.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement, because I mean, the first one you didn't have to do anything to at all. Didn't even need any water. It had a beautiful nose. Palate was similar to the nose, and this one is, it's like two different beasts.
Yeah, they are hugely different in every aspect. I mean, which is strange because they were both, fully matured in bourbon. They're both Speysiders. Yeah, just.
But this one, the nose is different to the palate. You can take massive amount of water.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with John, absolutely.
Oh, find a room, you two.
Well, you two.
I tend to agree as well. I mean, for me, I probably preferred the first one, and but with water, that definitely for me made quite a difference. I only added a small amount of water, not like, but it was lovely.
I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's a perfectly good whiskey, but when you compare it to the first one, it's not as good. So
fair enough. Out of interest, who would have rated the second one higher than the first? So Henry, Simon, Becca and Ollie, Rachel and George as well. So actually, it's not far off split the room. Tim, did you put your hand up? No. Okay, so you preferred number one. Okay.
So yeah, number one was much more delicate, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
This, after a little bit of water, has actually really opened it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I found that, definitely. Okay. Well, that's number 2 for you. So number 3, Woody, I hope you're in agreement, but I went with the Dufftown.
Yep.
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 So number 3 is the Dufftown, 14-year-old, and I believe it's 53.4%.
Yep, that's right.
And this one's a bit, well, it's an American hogshead again, but
did you say 14, Carl?
Sorry?
Yes, 14.
14, sorry. Did I say
Yeah.
15?
I don't know.
Yeah, 14.
I wasn't listening carefully.
Fair enough.
I've had a tough day, Carl.
Oh, well, we've got to improve it for you.
I'm liking the nose on this one already.
It's got quite a colour to it. So this finish, I presume, was in quite an active cask. Is that right, Woody?
Yeah. So the sherry cask, well, it's an olorosso sherry cask, and it came from Bodega Sanchez Rome. Well, I don't speak Spanish, so I'm sure that I'm pronouncing it completely wrong. But and well, it's been used for what, 15 years for sherry, and it's American oak, and the finishing period is 1 year 9 months.
So that's quite a long finishing period. I guess you'd almost like start to argue that that's a second maturation. And no wonder you've got a bit of colour going on then.
Yeah, but then it's a bodega cask, so the wood is not as active, if you like, as sort of a seasoned casks.
Woody, what would you say to people who, when independent bottlers that do a lot of finishing, especially in sherry, that they're trying to hide perhaps stuff in the casks that they bought?
I mean, we just had George and Rachel there, so I think it's up to there's a demand for everything. So I mean, some people like a sherry bomb, some people like the spirit characters. It's quite hard to. I'm not going to go and criticize them or anything. I think, I mean, it's quite hard when you have George and Rachel up here.
Say what you want, we don't care.
Yeah, we do.
I think, to be fair, Woody, I mean, as a consumer of such a wide range of whiskey, I don't have a set thing that I look for. I want the full range. So I do look for big sherry bombs that are literally just sherry, and you might argue, well, why the hell don't you just spend less money and buy a sherry? But that isn't strictly true, because no matter what sherry you bought, you're never going to get that underlying whiskey hit from a pure sherry. So there is a difference between even the biggest sherry bomb and a genuine sherry. So I think, from my point of view, the collection that I've got includes sherry bombs. It includes pure bourbon matured whiskies that have got the profile very clearly up front and center. So I mean, I guess like what you're saying is that the market is huge. Lots of people will buy different things, and you as an independent bottler, you want to be able to cater for quite a broad range of palates, I'm guessing.
Sorry.
Yes.
Woody, can I just come in on what Carl said there? So, Carl, I agree that there's always room for everyone. But for me, sherry is something that's been in sherry from day one to the end. It doesn't have to be, but a sherry bomb is essentially something that sat in sherry for a long time. It was designed to be as dark as treacle, a Coke type color. That to me is a sherry bomb. Yeah. My question was perhaps a little bit more nuanced, in so much as independent bottlers have to buy casks. They may get parcels of casks. That parcel of cask might have some crap in it. I say with respect, something that perhaps has an off note or something. And typically, I say typically, that's unfair because I don't really know. But what you can find is that you'll have bottlers putting it into a quick, let's finish this off to try to take care of that note, else I'll simply flog it on to the next unsuspecting so-and-so. But there are those that will continue to bottle it. So I just wondered what Woody's thoughts were on that. And do you know what, Woody, you may turn around and say, I don't really know, we don't do it. So I can't answer your question for you, mate. And that's perfectly fine.
I would say that, there are independent bottlers out there that don't really bottle good stuff, right? And that's not just like the finished whiskeys, the whiskeys that have been finished, but also, just whiskey straight out of a cask. I would say that there's a way of rescuing a whiskey, in a sense that you could have a sherry cask with two new heads fitted on it, and so you get the body that's sherried, and then the heads they're new charred cask. So that essentially that sort of speed up not speed up the maturation, but you're injecting sort of new element of wood into it. And using that to remove all the so-called off notes, and at the same time introducing sherry into the element, into the whiskey. So there are ways of doing it. A lot of people are quite happy to just throw mass that and then export it to Asia because they're quite happy with, oh, look at the color of that.
Yeah.
But do you know what? It's actually good that there are people who like that sort of things. They're fine with it, because then it allows us to sort of sell the cask on as a cask trader if we don't like it, and we keep the stuff
well, I guess
that we.
It's not only IBs that do this kind of
masking,
or for example, I've oft heard people commenting about the use of STR casks to really spruce up something that just was going badly wrong. So they'd use an STR to kind of just, like you say, almost mask or completely change the impact of that whiskey on the palate through using a big chunk of STR wood on it.
Well, the big distilleries must do all the time, because you can't tell me when they do a batting of where they produce, say, 9,000 bottles. You can't tell me every single cask that's gone into that batting.
Oh, it's been good. Yeah.
So
yeah.
They're masking it.
They're doing exactly the same, but from the point of view of vatting rather than maturing in a different.
It's just obviously like an independent bottler, they've got less to play with. They're not doing 9,000 bottles, they're just doing a cask full. So they've got to then.
I'm just going to chime in very quickly. When it comes to sort of fixing casks that are dodgy, I used to work at a distillery in Australia, Starwood, which some of you may know, and sometimes there would be casks that would be very sulfured. Because the winery that we'd be getting them in from would treat the casks with sulfur to stop them from being infected, going off. And we could wash them, rinse them, steam them, and you could smell nothing, no sulfur. But then fast forward 2 years, the sulfur's coming through on the whiskey. So what we used to do is we would get all the sulfured casks together, like 20 at a time, and we re-rack them into heavily charred casks just for like 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And the charcoal, it pulls the sulfur out of the liquid. So sometimes actually like STRs can be a great example of actually how you can save the whiskey, because if it's been sitting in a shit cask for a period of time, you can save the liquid and you can draw the sulfur out through a heavily charred cask. That's just my 2 cents there.
I would add as well to that, in the sense that I don't think anyone that is bottling is setting out necessarily to change the characteristics or to hoodwink anyone necessarily. I think a lot of the time people buy on spec. The cask industry moves so quickly that you can't always get samples, and especially the smaller to middling size indie bottlers, they don't have the money to just, I don't know, to buy from the kind of more expensive places that you might get samples with. And so I think it's quite a good thing to be experimenting with finishing sometimes.
But one thing none of us want to have wasted whiskey, do we? You know, like that's the thing. Ultimately, what we're talking about here is trying to save whiskey that's going in the wrong direction. So I guess if there's methods by which you can kind of reverse that and actually make it saleable, make it enjoyable for part of the market, then that's got to be a good thing.
I mean, even recently, I've seen a couple of bottlings by indie bottlers, I must say, rather than like sort of big players, where they've had a initial maturation in bourbon, then they've gone into a sherry cask, which is obviously there's been something wrong somewhere, because after the sherry cask is then gone into something else, like a rum or a wine. So obviously the sherry maturation didn't do it any favors, so they've then transferred it into something else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we know that, for example, the likes of the Lakes, you know, their approach is not necessarily to use maturation as a way of manipulating or producing the kind of flavors that they want. They'll do it via vatting. So they'll have the range of casks, and he'll work with the casks to kind of produce the kind of flavor that he ultimately is aiming for. You know, and I'm guessing that not all of his casks stand up to what he originally hoped, so he ends up having to kind of work with them as best he can as well.
Yeah. It's just that indies are having to do that sort of thing on a much smaller scale with a single cask.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and you know, majority of casks are not good. Like from experience, majority of casks are just not good. Because still, like majority of whiskeys goes into blends, and they like their refill hogshead because they like their spirit characters to mix it together, and then maybe put something a bit older just to give it a bit of spices in that. And so yeah, I mean, honestly, it'll be a lot easier if all the casks are good. But that's not the case. And in terms of finishing, it's like George said, it's an experiment. You chuck it in, you see what happens. You could sort of guess what will happen, I suppose. So we have, for example, we have some sherry casks that came from a different bodegas, and it's just absolutely horrible. And it was built with French oak as well, and I just absolutely hated it. Yeah, so I sold them on, but it might pop up somewhere as a French oak olorosso cask. But yeah, so like, and some people might find it lovely because it's really, really spicy. Yeah, so again, it's down to, I think, personal opinion, and with what you mentioned, what you're asking about the business practice side of things, I suppose it is quite a sort of an undertaking to have to own the casks and to finish them. There's quite a lot of sort of cash sitting on stock, just to, you know, just to wait to see what happens.
Yeah.
So you can't blame people for, I guess, to speed it up a little bit or to try to fix it. and yeah, but then again, there's the reputation as an independent bottler. One back cast probably will just topple you over.
Yeah.
It's really like.
I mean, John and I visited Whiskey Broker and met up with Martin earlier in the week on Monday, in fact. And not every independent bottler has got a cask or cask range of about. Did he say he had about 1,400 himself?
Of his own.
Yeah, 1,400 or so of his own casks, which obviously, you know, when you're at that kind of scale, even not as a distillery, as an independent bottler, at that kind of scale, you've got a lot of flexibility and a lot of options to play with. But most independent bottlers have nothing like that kind of availability of casks.
I think with the Martin as well, obviously he will buy new make.
Yeah,
rather than a
well,
cask
he's
as such.
that's exactly what he does. You know, a lot of those 1,400 will be new make. Yeah.
Anyway, I think we're straying from the subject of this
Yes.
particular whiskey.
And I'm going to nail my I'm going to nail my colours to the wall on this one and say that this is absolutely bloody gorgeous. I am loving this dram. My God. So sorry if I influence or like cock up the conversation here, but this is gorgeous. Cheers, Woody.
Yeah, we have a split room over here.
Okay. And my guess is it you, Woody? Sorry, Ollie. Are you enjoying this one more than Rebecca, or is it the other way around then?
No, I don't like this at all.
He's a bit like Steve Ladlow, where he doesn't like sulphur. So
I kind of resent that comparison.
Steve's notorious. Actually, to be fair, Ollie likes a little bit of sulphur, but it's too much sulphur in this.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I think the sulphur gives a savoury element to what is to all the sweetness basically coming through from the sherry cask. I absolutely love this. I'm with you, Carl. I think for me, it's really beautifully balanced across the sulphur and the sherry.
We've been to the different like whiskey festivals, and this bottle is very, very divisive in terms of people either like it or people don't. It's quite an interesting bottle, I think. So yeah, some people just hate it.
But I find
the nose of the taste is interesting, but I can't quite pin it down. Like, I get what you're saying, Becca. There's certainly there's a savoury note there, but I'm not sure. I can't quite pin it down to what it is.
For me, it's a lot of nuts. Like on the nose, I get loads of walnut. Like after the sulphur, obviously everything's just sulphur in the first, like on the nose and the palate. But behind all of that, once you've had a few sips, the sulphur sort of goes. And you can then make out like, yeah, I got lots of walnuts, and on the palate as well, nuts, coffee as well, and tobacco leaf and cereals, and as well as dried fruits and all the creamy fudginess and all that normal stuff as well. So I think for me, it's really nicely complex. I really enjoyed it.
Personally speaking, I wouldn't have described it as massively sulphury so much as incredibly dry.
It is very dry, yeah.
And what again?
Very dry.
Wants a bit of water to it, all those dry notes disappear, and you just get the sweetness comes right through, just cuts through everything.
I mean, I haven't actually tried it yet. I've just been nosing it, and I don't know if you got it, Rebecca, because I know you've got quite a good nose. But I keep now and again getting a hint of menthol off it, or eucalyptus, like in the background.
What is it with you two and mint? is there like a mint air freshener or something in the room?
Maybe it's Carl's aftershave.
I haven't got any on, mate. You're not privileged to have to deal with any of my aftershave. Yeah.
It's just every now and again I'll get a whiff of menthol, and then I'll go back to it, and then it's gone.
Right. I mean, I was just going to go back to what David was saying about the dryness. I actually love that dryness. That's what I'm loving. So I'm not going to add water now because I don't want it to change. I don't want that sweetness. I actually adore the dryness on that. But Bobby, what are you thinking? What do you think of this one?
I really like this one. I'm not getting a lot of sulphur. I'm getting a lot of, it started off as aged oranges, the old oranges lying in a wooden box, and really nice, but drying finish. It's a burnt very burnt treacle toffee, drying finish. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
That's
Now that
three
you
good
mentioned
grams
about
to
the
start
orange,
with.
I think you're subliminally kind of affecting, because now that you've said orange, I wasn't picking up that orange, but maybe now, maybe
It's
I'm
like a
very
burnt orange.
Yeah.
I think Dave O might be a fan of this. I mean, it's not in the Chenin Blanc sort of range of sulphur, but it's got that little kick in it.
Dave, what are you thinking, Dave O?
Yeah, John's got it bang on the head. It's very nice.
Yeah. Lovely. It is.
Woody,
nice.
what I say is no charcoal. Keep charcoal out. Oh, sorry. It wasn't you, Woody. It was George, I think. For me, keep the sulphur in, my friend. Love it.
I'll tell you, you're in for a treat when you try the warehouse one, olorosso from Glen Murray.
Should I be buying some more now?
Yeah, for you, mate, a case easily.
So shall I pick on somebody, if that's all right, if you don't mind, just to get your kind of views? Actually, my dad, just as you're drinking a pint, that's great, Dad. That's a great start. What did you think of that one? You're on mute. You're on mute.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. What do you think of drink?
I like that one.
Now, are you talking about your pint or you're talking about the whiskey?
No, I'm talking about that. I thought the second one was nicer, mine, but that one was really good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the sort of the sherryness that came through from it, especially after I'd added a little drop of water, a tiny little drop of water.
Yeah. So did you find that it went from that sort of dry to sweet?
Yes, I got it certainly got rid of the little bit of the dryness out of it.
Mm. Yeah. You enjoying it though?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Good. I'm flipping loving this. Anybody else? Any comments on it? Anybody not enjoying this one? Oh. Come on, Rachel.
I appreciate what everyone's saying, but I just, sulphur to me is a huge turn off.
Oh, no. Yeah.
It's like, I mean, this one isn't eggy, but it's all I can taste, I'm afraid. So yeah.
Not for you.
It's not for me, but more for everyone else. So there we go.
Yeah, trouble is you can't send it over.
You can have mine as well, Carol, if you want.
You're not liking it? Do you know what? I had a feeling, Stuart. I had a feeling that this wasn't going to be your cup of tea.
Is that right? Oh, geez, you know me better than I appreciate. No, there's just like I can only describe it as like a vegetal note on the palate, and I just can't get by it. That's like just a hard stop for me, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yep. Different strokes for different folks and all that, you know.
Absolutely. Tim, what are you thinking?
I didn't like it either.
Ooh.
I thought it started off really nicely, like the fruits and everything like that, and then it just went almost woody to me, and like spices, which I just didn't quite enjoy.
I genuinely thought, Tim, that this would be right up your street, so I got that completely.
At the beginning, now at the smell, the nose on it's beautiful. I'm thinking great, and then it just went. It was like I enjoyed the first bit, and then the second bit was just rubbish.
Have you tried it with water, Tim?
It's not left, John.
We need bigger measures, don't we?
You don't like it, but you still finished it.
Hey, it's my whiskey. I'm going to drink it.
I'm curious, actually. I know, Rachel, you didn't enjoy it that much. Did George like it, or?
A little sulfur on there, which can be complimentary.
Oh, what a politician.
Fight!
I mean, the nice aspects to it. I'm sensitive to a couple of things: heat, sulfur.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're both great, sometimes not.
Good.
Spoken like a true politician.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No.
What was it? What was it?
I'm not sure. I think he was sitting on the fence there on that one. So I have a feeling, based on this initial straw poll, that this might be a room splitter. So shall we do the old thumbs up, thumbs sideways and stuff? I'm curious now. Oh.
We'll go sideways.
Okay. Crikey Moses. This is an absolute split room. Rebecca, having 2 thumbs up doesn't count out Ollie's. Okay. Wow. Okay.
It is a divisive drum.
Yeah. I mean, out on a scale of sort of 1 to 10, based on the bottlings that you've done to date, would you put this where would you put this on your scale of all of your favorites?
What so far? What we've tried, or
no, just across your whole range. I mean, is this more in keeping with your favorites, or is it more kind of middle ground, or what?
I'm gonna say it's a bit on the low side.
Right.
But then again, the market demands a sherry cask, so there you go.
So I'm going to read between the lines on this answer, Ruddy, and suggest that maybe this was one that you were more looking at from a business head rather than your heart. That this was one that you released thinking that it had an appeal, but it wouldn't necessarily be a bottle you would buy.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would put, how I would put it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I loved it. So, and I think it split the room, didn't it? It genuinely split the room. So you were definitely bang on in terms of what you thought this would do.
I mean, disclaimer. I mean, obviously, we're not going to put like bad stuff into the market, but, and there's been through vigorous tasting by a lot of my pals before. Going into the market.
For me, because I really like this style of whiskey. It really reminds me of the Glen Murray did 2 years ago, I think it was. Glen Murray did a Sauternes cask, Warehouse One, their Warehouse One range, and that was just like this. There was sulfur in it that just balanced out the sort of like the sweetness coming from the Sauternes and the fruitiness and stuff like that. And so this, when I'm drinking this, I'm thinking, oh yeah, it's Christmas time, coming up to Christmas, it's winter, and this is that sort of dram for me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, after that little bit of politicians and split rooms and God knows, and fights, and there's practically a brawl going on. Right. Shall we go into number 4, which for me was the Beast. So this is the Mortlach.
Yeah.
Before we go, have we done specifics on that? The age,
did we? Et cetera. So the Dufftown was a 14-year-old, 53.4%. Yep. American hogshead, and then into my brain's gone. Olorosso.
21 months.
1 year, 9 months.
Yeah.
So was that a hogshead into a butt?
Hogshead into a hogshead.
Hogshead, right? Okay.
Was that a reconstituted hogshead? So was it, like reconstructed hogshead then, or did they use a butt for that, or was it a seasoned hogshead?
Oh, it's a used hogshead. So it's not a rebuilt hogshead. It's a used hogshead from Bodega Sanchez. Rollmate, but I know that that's not the right pronunciation.
Fair enough.
I'll just type it in, so just in case if you're.
Well, don't take any pronunciation lessons from Carl, whatever you do.
He must be talking about
Thanks for that, Dave H. Dave H. Yeah, now you're Dave H, mate. Right. Okay. Right. So the number 4 is the Beast, the Mortlach. Is that all right, Woody? Is that what you would say? Well, I'm almost certain when it's not going to be the Caol Ila or the Williamsons next. So it's got to be the Mortlach.
Yeah.
Yes. I've not had that many indie bottlings of Mortlach. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Because they are worth a lot of money in the cask market.
Just on the nose alone, this is my favourite thus
Mine
far
too.
on the nose. It's wonderful.
Incredible.
Yeah, the Beast of Dufftown is really stunning for me personally.
And me.
I'd have to agree with you there as well. So far on the nose, this is the best. Oh, this.
I'm going to get comfortable.
This matches number 1 on a nose.
Nose rating. All right. Okay. I better get ready for this one then.
It lends itself, the spirit of Mortlach, you know, it's a very weighty, heavy spirit like Macallan and Glendronach. It just lends itself so well to being put in sherry, be it for a finish or full maturation. It just does. It's you know, it's not a delicate, light, easygoing spirit. It does require oomph that you get from sort of sherry casks.
You need to tame the
It's really lovely for me, politician.
That's flipping gorgeous.
That nose is special, isn't it? It really is.
I think I'll be all thumbs up for this one.
Just on the nose alone.
Yeah.
No, palate's good as well.
Got an age and an ABV on this, Carl?
Yeah, so this is a 12-year-old, and I believe the ABV is 56.7. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. And it's again American oak, but then finished in a first fill PX.
Sorry, olorosso.
Oh, olorosso, sorry. Is it? I'm looking at the wrong one. I was looking at the Caol Ila. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, the olorosso. Yeah. Well, you would know, Woody. Take no notice of me.
So interestingly, this is the cask, the olorosso cask. So this one was the same not the same olorosso cask, but they're the same batch of olorosso cask as a Dufftown. So do we sense any sulfur in here? Or
Yes, I've just said it in the chat. It is still a touch sulfury. I can't smell it on the nose, but definitely on the palate. But it's not unpleasant in any way. It's really delicious.
You know what, Carl, and I was about to be extremely underwhelmed by this. You saying I could smell this for ages, and everyone saying I'm getting virtually nothing on the nose, nothing really special at all. But then you've got to chew this thing as I would expect a Mortlach would be. This is brilliant. Nose for me does absolutely nothing, but the mouthfeel and everything else about this is brilliant.
I have to say, just looking at it in the glass, like how viscous it is, how it's clinging to the glass. I haven't tried it yet, so you've kind of definitely piqued my interest because it looks like it's going to be meaty. It looks like it's going to be quite oily in the mouth and stuff. And okay, so you now confirmed it by the sounds of it.
I literally chewed it. I'm not even joking. It's beautiful. But for me, the nose does absolutely nothing for me. Not a damn thing.
it is quite an oily dram though, so maybe that's why.
Woody buddy, I'm not. As I said, I think this is a great dram. For me, the nose lets the liquid down. Believe it or not.
Well, I've been told before you can try sniffing the top rim and the bottom rim, and you can get quite different. So I'm not getting much when I sniff off the top part, but if you sniff off at the bottom part, I get a lot more of the typical olorosso raisins off that.
You certainly get a very different nose from the bottom of the glass.
Is that your aftershave again?
My peppermint.
It's a lot fruitier than the Dufftown. Well, on the palate.
My God.
Can you give us the idea of the price on this, Woody, please?
Let me go to Infrared Whiskey Shop, and it's out of stock. No, I've sent them new batches. How much is it? Let me see. What is there? It's £99. And you get, I think you get £5 off.
Yeah, it's a £5 code, so you get a £5 off a bottle.
The thing is with Mortlachs, especially indie bottlings, they tend to sell out straight away because Mortlach have got like a big sort of a cult status, if you like. So as soon as an indie, especially a sherried indie Mortlach comes out, it goes straight away.
That's the code, by the way, Woody, £5.
That's how much I'm worth.
Says the man sat on how many casks?
If you're worth that, we're all fucked.
What a stock behind me.
I have to say, I've not had that many Mortlachs either, and this is my favourite so far.
Mortlachs are always good though, worm tubs in it.
Yeah. And
what was it, 2.81 maturation or whatever it is they do?
Let's not go there.
But even in the Flora and Fauna, the Mortlach was one of the best ones in that series as well.
Did anyone try the recent non-age statement Mortlach from Diageo's most recent special releases?
No, we can't afford that sort of stuff.
No, we can't afford Diageo stuff unless it's in the supermarket.
Diageo, goodness me.
Okay.
I had it on a tasting. It was interesting.
Oh, now hang on. Are you being a politician now, Dave H?
No, I'll be more precise. It was very nice, not worth the money.
Yeah. Okay. Was that the kind of answer you were expecting then, Rachel?
But is that not just Diageo
Well,
anyway?
I don't know what the price was.
It was like 270 quid or something, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It was about 200, and even the cheapest place was about 250. No age state. It is nice, but it's not that nice.
Not nice. Yeah.
It was.
So you could buy essentially 2 and a bit bottles of this.
Yeah. I'd rather do that. Yeah.
Too right.
Nice, lovely. Is anybody not enjoying the Mortlach? We're curious to hear the outliers. Everybody all right with this one?
You know, I just came back to my screen very quickly and I could see Ollie chewing, but what I didn't realise it was crisps. I actually thought he was drinking the whiskey. Sorry, mate, I really did honestly just come back and you were like, I thought, wow, because I couldn't see any crisps in your hand, mate. Sorry.
I do think this is one, Dave, like you were saying, I am actually genuinely chewing on this as well. Steve, what are you thinking about this? You've been fairly quiet tonight, so I'm gonna throw you into the limelight if you don't mind.
That Mortlach was yes, very good. I thought it was very spirit heavy. Quite
in a good way.
I've still got it on the back of my throat. It's still got a really long finish, and yeah, really enjoyable. It's warming the cockles.
Yeah, it certainly is. Well, I have to say, I think my uncle kind of left, and he said that this one was his second favorite, if I remember rightly. Let me just scroll up. And now I can see why he said it was his second favorite. Where'd he go? Oh, there he needs to go. So he reckoned 6, which is the Williamsons, but then he put this one as his second favorite, and now I can kind of understand why. I mean, this is gorgeous.
Well, I mean, I could have told you 6 would be Royston's favourite. Even before we started,
yeah. Wow.
Has anybody ever tried a Mortlach in a peated cask?
No.
No, I've never tried it. It'd be interesting because
Right,
it's
okay.
heavy enough to carry the peat.
Yeah.
I'll do that next time.
There you go. Right. Well, shall we do thumbs? I have a feeling there's no point in doing thumbs up, thumbs sideways, thumbs down on this one. I'm feeling we might have a unanimous decision on this one.
I thought, you know what? I actually thought Ollie was going to say possibly middling.
He's
I
gone.
swear to God.
What?
Ooh.
Oh, Tim's gone sideways as well. I'm definitely here.
I think it's because Ollie hasn't really been drinking whiskey for like 3 months, so he's like lost his whiskey palate.
I just can't tolerate sulphur. There's just
Ollie, you've got to get back on it.
Oh, that one. There's hardly any tiny bits of. I'd say it was.
There's still sulphur on it. I don't know.
Will, what did you reckon? Was your Will? I missed what you did. What were you?
I love it. I love it. Same as it's like the Glenmurray, however you pronounce it, that we chose for the distillery edition. I think the sulphur just gives it a good edge, but it's a good, good sulphur. It's not an eggy finish. I think like the last one, the third one, I think that is a similar vein to that, perhaps slightly less offensive sulphur, but I don't think, for me, it's not a bad thing at all.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, I like it. Well, there's not been any bad ones at all so far. So,
yeah.
Is it that we're all sort of going nuts? Apparently, you can taste sulphur that, and it's not just that it's a very dry, or it's not even a bad thing that there might be some of these notes to it. It's just that
you say everything's dry.
Yeah, but everyone gets so hung up on sulphur.
You drink too much red wine. That's your problem.
What I found
it is true. It isn't my problem.
Things that divides the room faster than anything. It's the one note that will put people either I'm really going to like this. There's no kind of middle of the road. It's kind of all. It's either love it or really don't. It's that kind of polarizing note I've found. Some people do. Some people don't.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. As a hater, I'd agree with that.
Some people are like that though about peat as well. Like they just don't like it at all, in any sort of form.
Again, I'll tell you what. Here's a good one. You can even do it with whiskey brands. Macallan, I think, is one of those brands that divides people. It's stupidly overpriced, pish, or I love this stuff because it's sat on my shelf and it makes me look really, really posh. And in 5 years' time, I'll sell it for 5 times the amount it was worth.
I have a feeling I know which side you sit on there, Dave.
I'm on maybe it's over marketed bollocks, a bit like Highland Park in a lot of time. I mean, the old stuff was great, but I think there are some things in whiskey that are very polarizing. There aren't many, but for me, sulphur is one of them. I've never found someone who could kind of flip between the two. Really like this one, but I don't quite like that one.
But in a sense, that's what makes it good, because you can't just put something in one train, can you? It's not like it's a certainty that this is good and that's not. Everyone's got their own take on it, and everyone's got their own palate. So
yeah, I didn't get a lot of sulphur on either 3 and 4. The last
we can
one
all agree though that Highland Park was better 10 years ago.
When it was 20 quid in Sainsbury's, the 12, yeah.
I mean, was it when it wasn't coming in wooden cases?
It wasn't called Valhalla and all that sort of nonsense. Yeah.
At least they were aged. At least they had an age statement on them.
Yeah.
That's actually quite nice with I just wanted to try it with a little bit of water, see what it was like. Must. And not that it actually needs it, but I just wanted to see what it was like.
I think
the fruit comes out a lot more with the drop of water. and the sulfur, even though it is only a wisp, it just totally disappears with a tiny little drop of water on it.
See, again, I kind of like that sulfury kind of slight hint on it. Yeah. So, well, I see some parched looking faces. Actually, not so parched. Maybe we're going too fast through these. But number 5 is full on Isla heaven.
Well,
for
yeah,
those
I
that
mean,
like Pete.
We've now reached a high point and we're going down. So.
No, we're gonna carry on going high here. You know, so Caol Ila is next. Is that would that be what you would do, Woody? I mean, I'm happy to change the Williamson.
No, that's exactly what I would do.
Yeah. So we're about to step it up again, another notch, maybe potentially. I'm still on the Mortlach, like. Wow.
I wish I'd kept some Mortlach.
Woody, are you finding Caol Ila casks are increasing in price at a massive rate?
Yes, very much so.
A lot. I'm guessing they're outstripping the cost increases of most other distilleries.
I think there's an overall uplift in terms of cost of casks, but yeah, Caol Ila has always been a bit more expensive than the rest of the sort of Diageo stuff. But yeah, like right now, for some reason, it's probably because it's Isla, and it's probably the most accessible Isla cask you can get. So it is becoming a lot more expensive in the cask market.
Well, it's the most accessible because Caol Ila probably produces more than practically every other distillery put together.
You've also got that beautiful new visitor centre to pay for.
They've got to pay that for that, yeah.
and
that's what the latest Coast of Rare will do.
And Diageo sell them as well, so as part of the parcel, if you take 4 casks of Mannochmore, 4 casks of Glenelgan, 4 casks of this, 4 casks of that, then you get 4 casks of Caol Ila. So
I just wondered because I remember not too long ago, a 10-year-old, 12-year-old independent bottling of a Caol Ila would be 60, 70 quid, something very, very reasonable for a fantastic dram. And now they're all touching triple figures in terms of what is coming. And that's a 50% increase. I understand, you know, everyone's putting other prices and everything up. I get that. But I'm not seeing the rest of the distilleries that indies can get their hands on increasing at the same pace. So I just wondered if it was down to, you know, as Carl said, or sorry, as John said, someone having to pay for a brand new Johnny Walker experience.
No, I don't. Well, the distillery has not put a massive uplift on the prices, but it's just the demand for casks in the cask market has gone up, and people are willing to pay more for it. And a lot of them were sort of cask investment companies, and because Isla cask always get a good quite a strong following, but like Caol Ila is the most accessible one, so the demand sort of increases, and then it becomes sort of the cask traders then will go, right, so well, this guy's willing to pay 1.5 times more than the other guy wants to pay me, so why don't I sell it at a higher price? And that's usually what happens. So yeah, it is more expensive now. I'm gonna say it's getting to a point where if you're not careful where you buy your casks from, like you're just gonna lose money even just bottling because it's like by the time you've done your bottling, you've done your duty, you've done your like manufacturer's margin, producer's margin, and then retailer's margin, it'll be like insane amount of money for a bottle of whiskey that just no way it'll work. But for some reason it works. So probably in the investment market. And I have to say this is be careful when someone approach you about cask investment, is some of them were just
sharks.
A really important point I'll chime in very quickly is anyone who is willing to spend thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of pounds on something without doing their own homework, they you know, they're to
They can
blame.
lose money.
To be honest, like there's a mug born every minute, and a lot of people are spanking money totally unnecessarily, as you said, Woody.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they've only got themselves to blame because they don't even spend 5 minutes researching the market, and they get ripped off.
These people are very slick, though. A lot of these kind
They
of
are smooth talkers.
generally
yeah.
London-based cask trading people, and they're, you know, on their promotional videos they'll have a Scottish bloke generally, or a woman, a Scottish woman, and you know, people think, oh well, that's authentic then, isn't it?
No.
It's just
and they attract big money to come in as well from overseas, and they are willing to pay way over the odds for casks because they could manage to persuade the investors to spend that much money to buy a cask that's worth a lot less than they're paying for, and they get a big commission. And I guess that's right now that is the main reason why whiskey has gone up so much.
Yeah. Well,
it's very disheartening.
When we were talking with Martin again at Whiskey Broker, and obviously I don't want to necessarily go into too much detail, but one of the things that was highlighted is that it's all well and good if someone spends way over the odds on a cask today and the market continues to go up, because it hides how much they've overpaid for that cask. And if the market continues to go up, then they kind of might be okay. But if the market even remotely goes sideways or even down, then they've lost a huge amount of money. And that was one of the big things, I guess, that came out of a conversation. I mean, Martin highlighted that he'd come across a guy who had his cask at Whiskey Broker, and he'd had it 5 years, and Martin said that he'd paid way over the odds 5 years ago for this cask. But 5 years down the line, because the market's gone very positive for him, he still managed to make money off that cask.
Yeah, so on that note, I don't want to harp on too much, but on that note, Martin posted on Facebook earlier this year about some, well, chump, I suppose,
George.
who had paid, and Martin said, like, you know, industry people would have paid 1,500 quid, Joe Public would have paid £2,000, and this guy spent £40,000 on a cask that was worth 1,500 or 2,000 pounds. But he didn't just do it once, he bought 7 of them. So he spent £270,000 on something that he could have spent 14 grand on. He got ripped off, and it's like more fool them, more fool him. Like it's
That's not very charitable.
I'm not being. Well,
he's
I'm
definitely not being politician now.
Sharps out there, and it's unfortunate that some people just get, you know, hook, line, and sinker roped in by these nefarious individuals.
It's just sad because as the end drinker, like we're sat here now, you know,
drinking whiskey.
We're drinking whiskey with Woody, who's an indie bottler. We trade in casks, and we also are launching our indies as well. And the turn of this year, it's been horrendous, the price of cask. And you'll feel it even more soon, I'm telling you, in terms of indie bottle prices. It's just going to be, well, it's just going to be passion projects. No one's going to make any money from it.
Well, like my margin is like 15%, so
Yeah,
it literally just pays the bill, and then I, because I want to, like, I don't sell directly, so I work with we work with just all the retail shops, and we give them 30% margin so that they can keep the lights on. Yeah, so I'm happy to tell you how much
But this is why, you know, we as consumers, the more we support indie bottlers, the better. because actually it genuinely is a situation where, you know, you guys are you guys are producing the innovation. You are producing the flavors that the original bottlings, the stuff that we're finding is going up in more cost on these bottles than they're genuinely worth by a long chalk. Whereas indie bottlers tend to be much more in amongst the genuine bang for buck. You're getting much more value from the whiskey that you're drinking. So hats off to you.
I think the good thing about
George as well.
When you go
independent bottlers, as I've seen tonight, Mannochmore, Glen Spey, Dufftown, very, very strange distilleries that the big boys don't do much about. But there's some cracking whiskies. That Mannochmore was stunning, absolutely stunning. And hats off to them, because that's the way it'll go when you support the independents, to get these whiskies we don't know a lot about, to bring them to the fore.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, go on, Stuart, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I think that's where this sort of tasting kind of comes into its own, to be honest with you, because you know, very quickly, I'll, if not already today, you know, some of the bottle prices, I'm just not taking the punt. I'm not taking the punt. I'm all for supporting the IBs and all that, but I've got my limits. You know, it's not just cash that are going up. Bloody everything's going up. So, you know, I've got to cut my cloth accordingly. But yeah, absolutely back what Bobby's just said there. You know, we're getting some you know, kind of different distilleries, certainly stuff that I wouldn't go out and you know, kind of buy on spec. I just think that you've got a right good kind of niche here, and hopefully you know, build on the success of the the event that you had in September this year as well.
Yeah, well, we would like to work with retailers, like the soft whiskey retailers, and when we send them, or like when we fulfill orders, we always put in the smaller bottles as a tasting stock, so that people go into the shop and they get to taste them, instead of doing marketing and, you know, adverts or sponsoring. We just let the liquid speak for itself, and if people like it, they, you know, they taste it, it's good, they buy it, good, you know. So we'd rather do it that way. And like you said, like sometimes it's like I don't buy expensive bottles myself, right? Like probably the most expensive bottle that I buy is I've bought is like £130, and that's why when we release our stuff, we don't tend to go over that price. It becomes a bit of a, not a collector's item, but it becomes quite pricey in terms of a food and drink product, if you like. So that's our ethos. It's just to let the liquid speak for itself, and let as many people taste it. And if they like it, good. If they don't, then they can go to North Star or something.
You can run and jump.
They can go buy from North Star.
Yeah. No, actually, just on the festival side of things, we're definitely on, by the way, next year, 2nd of September. We're definitely on. And I'm hoping to get Rebecca and Ollie there as well this year, by the way. Just
Glasgow venue, is that right? Glasgow venue?
Well, you know, I'd love to do Glasgow.
Oh,
that's a good point. What is the venue? Did you manage to negotiate the?
Well, the latest news is I talked to the events manager at Tyne Bank, and despite the takeover, they are keen to do events. They are a more events orientated kind of owner. So it does look as if it would be Tyne Bank again, but it's not 100% certain, but it's looking pretty reasonable that it will be Tyne Bank again.
Cool.
Can they treat us to an air conditioning unit this time?
Yeah.
Did they just have like all the heaters on or something? Is that what happened? Because it's like a warehouse almost, isn't it? The building.
Yeah.
But they have those a lot of those electric heaters, or isn't it above? So maybe they just
I don't
oh yeah,
think
so they generate heat. Yeah.
I don't think they even had the heaters on.
It was just a sheer amount of people.
It's like a greenhouse. It just kept all the warmth in somehow. It was just really warm. But then towards the middle of the afternoon, to be fair, it did start cooling down.
Yeah.
It was to make it was to make you sweat more so that you drank more. That was the
We'd only been there an hour, and Billy Walker saw me as I walked outside, and I looked like a right terrible mess. I must have thought her half cut.
It's funny because the last time we went, I was freezing in there.
Well, it definitely didn't feel cold on the day, I tell you. But yes, so we're looking good anyway for the festival in
Second of September. Is it
progressing it?
Is that going to be the same day as the marathon?
No, definitely flipping not. That was my.
Not as if I did a marathon. Less just a chocolate bar.
We just lost Carl.
I disappeared.
Oh, did he go?
Yeah.
It's gone very quiet.
Yeah.
Well, whilst he's gone, can I ask Woody what the ABV and the age of this Caol Ila is, please?
So it's 14-year-old and it's 57.1%.
57.1.
Yeah, and it's
And
14. Yeah.
Thank you.
We're back, by the way. Sorry.
So, Carl, is that the 2nd of September?
2nd of September, yes. Yeah.
Okay, it's in my diary now. So.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Need to try and come down.
Oh, you know that they moved the Great North Run forward by a week, don't you?
Get out. Rebecca, kick him out.
The thing is, though, Dave, it doesn't matter because you know the date now.
Yeah.
So you can book your accommodation straight away.
Yeah, book it now.
Yeah, but unless Carl changes the venue.
Well, to be fair, I haven't. It's not 100% sure about the venue because obviously it is a new owner, so I'm kind of still in discussion to kind of firm up and make sure that that 2nd is firm there. But I also have been talking to a couple of other venues, and one of them is the Spanish City. So anybody who is from the Northeast will know that the Spanish City would be quite a venue for doing a whiskey tasting. Sorry, a whiskey festival. So I haven't 100% committed from my side of things. So we'll see. But it is 90% likely to be the
city's about 10-minute walk from the nearest metro, though.
It is, but Tyne Bank isn't exactly easy either.
No, it's not.
There's a hotel at the Spanish City. So there might be a possibility to block book like 30, 40 rooms and then just give them get a cheaper rate for the rooms.
Yeah.
Those at cheaper rate. Yeah.
Carl might even bring it forward 3 months and we can all sleep on the beach.
I do think that would be an absolutely spectacular location, and it's also like it would be bringing something quite different to that area. I think, you know, like it just puts a bit of a spotlight on that part of the region. You know, because it's out of the city centre, but it's a really beautiful area.
It is, yeah, and being able to kind of nip outside and sit, you know,
on the beach, yeah.
Or in September.
September will be good.
Yeah.
It's been 17 degrees over here in November. September will be fine.
I was about to say, Peter, it's 8 degrees here. It's 9:25. It's the 2nd of December. It's 8 degrees outside according to my watch.
Oh, wow. Right. Well, according to mine, we're on 6 degrees here in Gosford.
Well, you are the East Coast. What can I say?
Yeah. Yeah.
In East Kilbride, Scotland, snow's coming in shortly.
Oh,
aye, it's heading this way for Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah, middle of the week.
Right. On that note, shall we dive into number 6?
Well, you haven't done thumbs up on that yet.
Oh, we not?
Yeah, we haven't really discussed.
Okay.
Also, the this particular dram.
Yeah. Okay, we haven't.
Well, I mean, we can just over it because it was just Peter's choice.
No, this was bloody lovely.
Let's just carry on.
Right.
It says
okay.
Do you know what I really loved about this one was the amount of fruit that came across through the peat and everything. Like, I thought it was really loads of fruit in it, loads of apples, pineapple even, wasn't it? I loved that.
Really well balanced. I think that's a really good dram.
What? I think there's something wrong with Ollie, you know.
You're not the first person to say that in my life, you know.
I did also nose, before I tasted this one, I did do the nosing of the last one, because I just knew that as soon as I tasted this one, and to nose them side by side is, to nose them side by side is really interesting. They're so different. Hence why it's so obvious that there's so much fruit in the Caol Ila.
Yeah, this is a Mortlach, yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, I actually, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass here, Woody, but I think that's one of the nicest Caol Ilas I've had for a while.
Yeah.
And that's saying something, because I really enjoy, I mean, the number of IB Caol Ilas out there is enormous. You know, I mean, everybody's bottling a Caol Ila.
Yeah.
But that is a really nice Caol Ila.
It's gonna be a while before I bottle another Caol Ila. Because there's so much in the market.
Yeah, that is lovely.
That's just what I'm searching about in cupboard for. I'm thinking I've got another Caol Ila here from Kenmore, and I can't find it.
Well, now that you've mentioned it, David, you've got to share it with the rest of the room.
I was going to ask, how much is this one? I haven't been. The Caol Ila.
Let me have a look. I should know.
Based in conversation, it's about 735. I think.
Is that on the secondary market, Stuart?
Give or take. Yeah.
So it's on Inverurie shop right now. It's $96.99, and you get £5 off.
Now I'm going to be controversial here, Woody, and I'm going to say the Mortlach for 99 quid outstrips that for me, and I'm a very, very big peat head. The Mortlach outstrips that for me by a damn sight more than £3. I know, Ollie, I appreciate you weren't a fan of the Mortlach, I get it, but for me, that extra £3, there's no contest between the two for me. I'm not saying this, I really enjoyed this dram, but like Becca, I've actually gone back to the Mortlach glass, and I'm getting so much now on the nose, it's untrue. I couldn't get it when the liquid was there, but now it's kind of done and gone. My God, I can now see what everyone else is smelling.
I think it's, do you know what I think it was? Is because the number 3, what was it? The Dufftown was so like such a, basically like a big sort of bomb, basically, right? So it was really, it was really strong on the nose and the palate, and so I think that muted the nose on the Mortlach. But see, the problem is in our house we have complete opposite taste in whiskey. You see, Dave. So, Ollie, you really love this, isn't it? So
yeah.
you'd buy this. I'd go for number 3.
So you won't share whiskies then in your household?
No, basically I do actually have my separate own whiskey collection that Ollie pays half of, but he just doesn't know about it.
Shall we do the thumbs up, thumbs sideways for the Caol Ila then? Dare I ask? I already know that his is going to be like a thumbs down. Yeah. Let's go. Let's see. Is that a kind of sideways, Stuart? Is that kind of like half and half? You thinking about it? Yeah. Okay. Right.
Tim, you're giving a thumbs up to that, and you give a sideways thumb to the Mortlach.
It's because you're wrong, John. Doesn't make me wrong.
I noticed that Steve and Will, you both went sideways. Can one of you, who wants to dive in with a view on that one?
Can you just explain why you're wrong?
Unpopular opinion of the day. I find a lot of Caol Ila quite average. Sorry. I find it just sweet and smoke, and that's about it for me. But I'm not a massive peat fan, so my opinion doesn't really carry much weight in this conversation. So
your opinion carries just as much weight.
no, I'm not a peat. I'm not.
His head's big enough as is. Don't go make it bigger.
Same here. I'm not a peated fan. I like a little bit of peat, but it doesn't float my boat, and that's my personal palate. So Caol Ila is not one I'd go for normally.
Yeah.
There are other notes that were nice, but the peatiness just is not my style.
So you do know that we're going to be coming to you for your opinion about the Williamsons very soon.
I think where Will and Steve are concerned, it's just down to Isla peat. Because if I remember rightly, at the Highlander, they love that Glen Turret, the Ruadmore, which is a pleated Glen Turret that I bought.
I will go. Yeah, I will go for Speyside peat, but I love peat. I'm not offended by it. I just don't. It doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't scream at me. It's some I've had, like what's the Kilkerran, the 8 year.
Yeah.
I'll go for that, but I have to be in the mood. It's got to be the right. It's got. I don't know. It's weird. Like I say, I don't mind sulfury notes and things, but peated, I'm not that fussed unless it's. I don't know.
Yeah, like with those distilleries like Kilkerran, Springbank, Glen Turret, when they do their peated Ruadmore, they all use Highland peat rather than Island peat.
Yeah. I suppose we're Campbelltown. It's not the same, is it?
Also, in their defence, that did turn into a very, very busy night.
Yeah, it did.
What was the smoke and water? What was the bottling that you brought? Was it you, Carl, or one of you guys brought? What was the smoke? Is it smoke and water? It was. I can't remember who did it.
Smoke and water.
It's something like that. It wasn't. It didn't name the distillery, but it was an Isla. I can't remember what it was.
Ila.
Is that what it was?
Smoke. I mean, like a villain, I would have thought.
I can't remember the bottler. Anyway, yeah. It's
seaweed or something.
Could have been like a vintage malt whiskey company, Cooper's Choice, because they often use that sort of language when they're naming their bottles.
It was one of the bottles you guys brought. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. Davo, what were you going to say?
It'll almost certainly be a Caol Ila if it's an Isla malt.
Well, yeah.
There are very, very few distilleries on this lovely island that will
do big volume.
I've got a Gordon MacPhail. Is it Hermitage wine finish? Caol Ila. I find that nice, but I've got to be in the mood for it. Again, I find it just sweet and smoke. It's not. I don't know. I find them very samey, but I've probably not researched it enough. So.
Heroes
Ila should always be sweet.
Sweet and smoke. Was it Heroes and Heretics bottle? So they do a sweet and smoke, I think it is.
Firkin whiskey, maybe.
Oh yeah, Firkin, maybe.
I picked up it was a Caol Ila and Marsala effort from them off the back of one of these stations. I don't know, 18 months, 2 years ago or something like that. Could
it was
maybe.
Yeah.
No, Cooper's Choice. Cooper's Choice of the double names.
Who's posted that? The Uncharted Whiskey Company. That I think it might have been that. Smoke on the Water. That's Laphroaig. I think it was something like that. What you guys brought.
Yeah.
I'm a software engineer. I wouldn't be much good if my Google wasn't up to scratch.
Yeah, I think it might have been that, which is what I mean. My taste is weird because I've got to be in the mood for it. I can appreciate it, but it just depends. Ignore my opinion on this.
I can't remember anyone taking that up.
No, I can't either. But anyway, right. We have number 6. Let's knack up this conversation right now and go on to number 6 because I can't wait to try the Williamsons. Sorry. I'm not apologetic actually at all. Let's go.
No, I don't know what you're apologising for, Catalyst.
No.
Can we find out a bit more about this cask?
What, the Williamsons?
Yeah. What's the ABV?
58.3. Is that right?
Yep. And it's 10-year-old, and it's 1 year, 1 month in a PX cask.
Originally in, I'm assuming, just a first fill or second fill bourbon.
It's a refill hogshead, so it's not. It's pretty. It's not that good in terms of wood character. So it's quite a knackered cask.
I tell you what, Woody, you definitely undersold your marketing and sales. You're going to sell that a little bit early, buddy.
He's actually got that on the back of the bottle as well. It's off a knackered cask.
Do you know what? There I was asking questions earlier about, are you just trying to palm stuff on to customers by shoving it in a sherry cask? And here we go.
Refreshing honesty.
Yeah.
Well, all I can say, Woody, if this is a knackered hogshead, that PX cask must have done a good job, because like that's really nice.
It is. Yes, I agree with that. That's lovely.
What's John saying?
We don't want to hear it from him anyway.
Well, I will say, actually, it's not that bad, because it reminds me of the travel exclusive PX.
Yes, yeah. No, not Portwood.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
PX.
I mean, there are very few Laphroaig whiskies that I do actually enjoy, but they tend to be for some reason, I don't know why, the travel exclusives. So I like the PX when they had that. I like the Brudia, which was a port cask, and the Ancuan Moor. And this reminds me actually of the PX.
John, have you tried the 10-year-old sherry Laphroaig? I haven't, and I like the PX just as you've said, and I've not tried the sherry 10 yet. I was interested to see how that compared.
I've tried quite a few of the different cartridges, which have been in various like sherry casks, but to be honest, I've never found any of those that I particularly like either.
John, when you were here last, didn't you try the 10-year-old sherry, the one that's currently available right now?
What cartridge was it, or?
No, it's just called the 10-year-old sherry.
That's the one I was asking about.
Yeah. That's so. If
No,
John has,
did actually, if I'm honest.
Stuart, I have. It's brilliant.
Okay.
At the end of Beige, there was that and this year's cartridge going round, and this year's cartridge I think is very, very good. But I thought the sherry was brilliant.
Was it not you, Dave, that provided a bit of insight as to how they picked the casks for the cartridge this year? Someone did.
No, definitely not. Absolutely.
No.
I mean, I wasn't that keen on the cartridge this year because it's just pure bourbon, and it has got a lot of the Laphroaig character does come through a lot in it, which I find happens quite a lot with the cartridges, and it's just that distillery character that I don't like, and I think the PX in this masks that character, which probably makes it more palatable to me. So
you are such a heretic.
Carl, where's Joe? Let's get Joe on. She'll be a little bit.
I'll probably take the rest of this dram home for her actually, so she might enjoy it. Well, she probably will enjoy it actually, but.
And just on a note, in terms of Laphroaig, there is a discussion going on right now about a Laphroaig tasting with NEWAS. So just putting it out there, and it's down to Davo and his Caroline, who's not around actually. Where is she?
She's in Kendal right now. She's doing the whiskey show.
Oh yes, she's doing the Kendal Festival. Yes. So there's going to be a little bit of a special, well, hopefully, Laphroaig tasting with NEWAS very soon, and very much down to Caroline. So something to look forward to for the 2023.
Is Caroline going to be doing soon?
Don't know.
Yeah, she would be. It would be her session, John.
Oh, right, okay.
Select tasting.
I'll vet the bottles before you get them done. No, I'm joking. Honestly, I'm having nothing to do with it because it's her baby. This is all down to her. So I'm sure she'll do an amazing job. I already know what she's thinking about bringing on. So.
Yeah. So that should be an interesting one, most definitely. But anyway, to go back to this one.
It's not something, unless you're here, you'll be able to get your hands on. And some of it you won't be able to get your hands on anyway because it's done, gone and dead.
Yeah. Anyway, to get back to this, what's everybody thinking? Come on, somebody jump in. Oh, sorry, go on.
I'm really liking this. I'm a big fan of this. Is it available, Woody?
Yes, it is. Let me see what.
It's 110 on in brewery, so you get a $5 off.
Beat me to it.
How did you say it was? 10 or 12 years? 10 years, didn't you say?
10.
It's mature for a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
It's so the sherry cask, the PX cask has actually got one new cask end fitted onto it. So the rest of them were bodega casks, and then the cooperage fitted one cask end onto the cask. So I guess that just allows it to be a bit more active.
Yeah, makes a big difference.
That's really good insight to share, to be honest with you, because sometimes on tastings, previous tastings, we don't get anywhere near that level of detail. So thanks for sharing that sort of information, even if it's out in the public domain. Good on you for providing that.
Oh no, I mean, like I if I could, I'll fit every bit of information onto the label. But yeah. I prefer talking about the technical stuff over the marketing and
really.
You mean making the best out of a knackered cask is not going to be your tagline?
Do you know what? Here's how you sell that. Despite the fact that when we got this, it was quite tired. This is what we, as an independent bottler, have been able to do with this dram. How good is that? That's how you sell it.
Whiskey rescuer.
Yeah, the cask whisperer. You can't use cask whisperer because some of the so and so's use that.
Yeah.
Cask
We've done a blended malt for Cork and Cask in Edinburgh. It's like a wee charity bottle, and we did put quite a lot of fancy words on the back label. Like carefully selected and blended together. So
you missed a very important word: artisanal. Just remember, it's artisan.
But whenever whoever asked me the story about the blend, I said to them, well, and this is the true story, is that we've been doing some re-racking, and there's always some drags down on the bottom, and I just chuck them all in one drum and pop it back into like a refill blood tub and just see what happened, and that's our first blend. And the end result is not too bad. So end up being
carefully selecting and paying homage to the Infinity style of whiskey. We created a sublime blend. This is being recorded, by the way, Woody.
Hand-selected blend.
Right, let me write that down. Sorry.
This is recorded. I don't know how far we're into this call. It should say somewhere. Probably Becca's got that. But we're about an hour and 45 minutes. No, an hour and 15. 2 hours. Oh, bloody hell, what time is it? 2 hours 15
hours.
Yeah.
2 hours 15 minutes in.
So can I interject here and say the exact opposite to an infinity cask is the blood tub experiment that you've done, Woody. So I don't know if you'd like to kind of give us a little bit of a feel for your blood tub kind of experience that you've got in terms of a kind of set, isn't it? A tasting set that you're doing.
So what we did was that we've got these. How do we start? Right. So that was sort of when the lockdown first started. We've got these like blood tub. So they're 32-liter casks, sort of built and seasoned with wine that we picked, and they're seasoned with sort of different wines, and they were made of different oak types as well. And essentially, what will happen is that we took one hogshead and we filled 8 blood tubs, and they're all sort of different combination of wine and oak type, so American oak and European oaks. And now we're planning on bottling as a set of 8 times 200 ml, and allow people to sort of compare and contrast, if you like, between sort of American oak and European oak, olorosso sherry from Jerez region and olorosso wine from Montilla region, and then that goes to the PX cask as well. So yeah, so that's the. Does that make sense? I've not done the sales pitch yet. So
I posted up when we visited the full 8 different blood tubs that you had. I will post up again on the group so that people can kind of see. But I thought, I mean, we tried 2 or 3 of the different blood tubs because I was driving, so I only nosed them. But Lorraine kind of very much enjoyed the 3 that she tried. But the whole idea of being able to buy this set of all 8 in a 200 ml set was just such a cracking idea, I thought. So once you do release it, please let NEWAS know, and I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot of interest in them.
Yeah, I'm sitting on a lot of dry goods just now, like the bottles and boxes. So
maybe we need to have a visit up and help you do a lot of bottling.
Yeah, a lot of drinking in that.
That might happen as well.
When is it likely to be bottled, Woody, and what sort of price are you looking at? When is it likely to be bottled, and what sort of price would you be looking at for the full set?
Let me have a look here. I've got my spreadsheet.
I think you told me that the retail would be about 125 for this set. Was that right?
So I've got 4 different ones, 4 different sets. So we've got the first one that comes out is going to be, I'm sorry, a Caol Ila. Some of you can skip that. And then we've got a Ben Nevis, a Glen Rothes, and a Lowland, a name Glen Kinchie. And obviously they're all different price points. And then so for the Caol Ila, it'll be, I think, £190.
190.
Have you done the same thing with each distillery, like separating them all into?
So it's all the same, yeah.
No, right,
so
okay.
it's all separate into 8 different casks. So yeah, I mean, I'll give you a shout when it's out.
Skip the Caol Ila, just let us know when the Ben Nevis and the Glen Rothes comes out.
Right. Well, I mean, like, even with that price, it's kind of like, if you break it down to 70 CL, we're looking at £85. So it's still, and it will all be 50%. It wouldn't be cash. Just so that everything stays the same. It went into the cask on the same day. It came out on the same day, and there was the volumes were filled the same in the cask, so that the air space are exactly the same inside the cask. And the temperature is the same, they're kept together. So the only difference is the cask type or the wine type. And that's the whole idea.
Yeah. And you get to try all 8 of the blood tubs alongside each other, which is a great idea.
Yeah, and don't come back to me.
Yeah. Well, so what do we think about the Williamson anyway? I know that was a slight distraction. Okay, 2 thumbs up there. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh my God! Oh, we
Best
have a
Laphroaig I've ever
universal-
enjoyed.
Yeah.
Hey.
Sorry,
I
wait,
think
like
that might
gas
be
bag
universal.
What? Why have you got yours sideways?
Well, why not?
Becca, what are you going to do with him? Hasn't had a positive word to say all night.
Hang on, Tim, did you like that?
Loved it.
Ask John why he doesn't, why he's wrong.
Yeah, why are you wrong, John?
I've given my opinion on it already.
That was
I didn't give
delicious.
it a thumbs down. I gave it a sideways.
Yeah,
so
you did. And that's saying something. So, does anybody want to jump in with their view of the Williamsons then?
I thought it was a cracker, Carl. Really nice.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
Yeah.
I think it's probably, with the Mortlach, it's probably my favourite of the night. Can't pick between that and the Mortlach. I can't pick.
Yeah, probably the knacker cask, just tempered the Laphroaig character. And the PX has just rounded it off perfectly. Lovely stuff. Cracking dram.
I agree with that, boy.
The bottles, well, the finishing in the bottles is inspired by Laphroaig themselves and the Laphroaig PX, because I tried that and I bought a bottle and I had that and I was like, I was thinking it could be better. So, and that's why I went with this. So
yeah,
excellent.
yeah, the only way it could be better is more PX and less Laphroaig.
No.
Well, it would be better. It's cheaper.
I think
well.
I think it's so beautifully balanced, the last one, because you get that on the nose, you get that real sort of caramel elastoplast, like, you know, that sort of bandagey, dirty peat, isn't it? That to me, that's like classic Laphroaig. But then you get that caramel and toffee note. But then on the palate, the peat is a little bit muted. I've saved a little bit to have tomorrow on a fresh palate. But it's just so sweet and rounded. I think it's really lovely. Really well
I was
done.
quite worried that it's going to be overly spiced, because you do get that with PX. It's like sometimes you just get a lot of spices that comes with PX. But
coffee.
That's why we kind of has been doing a lot of tasting of that. Make sure that it's not over spiced, if you like. But that's just for me. I mean, some people like it spicy, like not spicy, well, but like, you know, loads of spices.
Steve Laidlaw, if anyone's interested, is actually at Kendal. The missus just texted me and she said she's caught up with him.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, a few people are at Kendal as well. Yes, on the regulars. So yeah, we're missing the likes of Steve. Sorry, I can't open it.
Well, we're not actually missing him. He's just not here.
No. Yeah, that's true. Yes. So that
he'd have a lot to say about some of these drams. He'd have a lot to say about 3, 4, probably 6 as well.
Yeah, none of it would be worth hearing though.
I was going to say the other thing is that number 6, is really got a really long pronounced chocolate note that goes on for a very, very long time, and that's what I think is really lovely, isn't it, about it? You're not so keen.
Yeah, I'm less impressed. I get that chocolatey note on the end, and I feel like that could be really nice, but I don't know. I'm getting sulphur again.
There is a hint at the beginning of the palate.
I clearly spent all day in the match factory doing too much work.
Ollie, have you ever tried drinking wine?
He drinks. We have a lot of red wine. A lot of red wine, a lot of port and sherry and everything. So yeah.
Joanne.
Sorry guys, I think that Joanne's just arrived with John.
Thought it was John.
Aaron's just making his presence known.
I guess the question is what was, I guess in the chat, isn't it? We normally put the order of our of our favourite drams, isn't it, for the night? What order would you rank them?
Yes.
From 1 to 6. Your favourite to your least.
Please put in your ranking. In fact, I'm going to put mine in. Stuff you, John.
Well, I mean, I haven't got a laptop to put it in, but I would say, controversially, number 4 would be my top dram, and number 1 would be my second dram. Then I would go 4, 3, obviously 5 and 6 last.
You have no taste.
No, I've got taste. I just don't like it bad to fuck by Pete.
Do you know what, to be fair to John there, so 6 Happy Days, that's my cup of tea.
Yeah.
Then I'd possibly go for the Mortlach next, but then I'm between 3 and 1 next. I really am undecided between 3 and 1 as my kind of third choice.
Yeah.
And that both of those would beat out the Caol Ila for me.
Yeah. I mean, I really like 1 because it profiles the distillery really well, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously 3's got a bit of a finish to it, so there is more of a bit of cask influence rather than the distillery itself. But I think number 1, this distillery shines through on that one.
I'm with Dave. 6413. 6413.
I thought you're not.
I think we've all learned that a bad Laphroaig is better than a good Caol Ila. I'll just say what everyone else is thinking.
Ollie disagrees clearly with that one.
I feel I'm doing Caol Ila a disfavor because I did actually rate that slightly lower than I would have expected, but yeah, I have to say the Mortlach was my outstanding dram, even though 6 still won. The Williamson was amazing, but the Mortlach was really damn good.
Wheeler is in danger of becoming the Emperor's new clothes. There's a lot of it about, and it's all the same.
Yeah, but one of the things I would say to that, though, David, is that right now you might get a lot of it. So I would buy a lot of it now. While Caol Ila is going to be harder to come by for IBs in the future. That would be my guess. I don't know. Come on, Rachel, George, what would you say? Would you say it's going to be harder to get a hold of IB casks, of Caol Ila casks for IBs in the near future?
Those that are able to buy casks from Diageo directly, in order to buy 1 hogshead of Caol Ila, they must purchase 1 hogshead